I think we've pretty much got the base.
Well, one of the things that I want to bring up that I think is a really key thing that is still amazing to me to this day is Scientology has a thing, it's called, if you've got the handout, it's called the Scientology Creed, right? And I'm going to read from you something. It says that all men have inalienable rights to think freely, to talk freely, to write freely, their own opinions, and to counter or utter or write upon the opinions of others. Okay, so doesn't that sound like you could write and speak and talk freely? Isn't that what it's saying? Right. Well, when I left Scientology, like I said, my husband divorced me of 27 years, wouldn't talk to me at all. My best friends of 30 years have never talked to me since. These are the first two. One Scientologist talked to me at a fair, but I've run into many of them, and they just would practically, it looks like they would just spit on you. I mean, I can't even say how low it is. I sat in a meeting, this is a true story, the ministers of LA wanted to know about the other side of Scientology. So we went to a meeting with the ministers. And I said to the guy who set it up, Scientologists are going to be there. And he said, oh, no, this is invitation only. And I said, trust me, I used to work with OSA, they're going to be there. Sure enough, Gail Carroll, who's one of the mission holders up in Los Angeles, was there. And at the end, Scientology's a lot like totalitarianism in that the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing, right? So she was like the right side, like PR. Like I worked in PR, she worked in PR. And at the end, after we talked, Dr. Kent and I talked about fair game, which is a thing Hubbard wrote. If someone speaks out against Scientology, you can lie, cheat, steal, destroy them utterly. Now, I know from experience, I stood up in court saying, that's a lie, that's not true, that's been canceled, because that's what Scientology shows you. But the original policy of the cancellation says it's canceled, but at the bottom it says, but this does not apply to suppressive people, which is anybody who's speaking out against them. So anyway, long story short, we talk about fair game. She says that's not true. We go outside, and the Scientologists are out there passing out black PR, bad, negative stuff about Dr. Kent. And it freaked out the ministers so much, they circled us and walked us to the car. Later, Scientology called up the minister, my friend, and said, we need to meet with you by yourself. He called me up. I said, I'll come. So myself, Jeff Jacobson, and he all go to this. They had 13 minutes to speak. We had 13 minutes to speak. They read the creed of a Scientologist. He asked them about suicides that have happened, which there's a lot of them, deaths that have happened, which there are a lot of them, the net nanny, which they put on Scientologist computers so Scientologists can't see critical things. These conversations we've had today, they cannot see. At the time, they couldn't, because they put on a net nanny to lock it out, right? Different things like that. They lied through their teeth and said, we don't know anything about that. I know these people personally. I knew they knew about it. So I said, if you believe in this creed, why is it none of my friends can speak to me? If you honestly believe that people have the inalienable right to free speech. And she said, well, you know, that, and the minister, the one they were really interested in, said, well, is that true? Do you really have a thing called disconnection, which is where families, business partners, kids disconnect from whoever is the suppressive person? And he was amazed. He said, do you really have that? And she said, well, just with a small percentage. I mean, Hitler was an SP, and Tory's an SP, right? Good analogy. The ministers all looked at him like, are you crazy? And I said, you know, that's a flat-out lie. You can go on the internet. There are pages and pages and pages of not only people that are declared suppressive, all of Hubbard's original staff are declared suppressive. The vast majority of their top auditors have been declared suppressive people. Large amounts of organizations have been declared suppressive people. So that's what I want to know is how is that free speech? It isn't. So that's the thing where there's these controversies. They sell freedom, but they actually rope you into this mind control. They sell free speech, but you can't talk to people unless it's on their program. You see what I mean? It's got these controversies. They have policy that says this is standard tech. But when you get there, you find out, oh, wait a minute, they're using a different policy. And that one doesn't really apply, because that's what the executives want you to back up. And those are things that have factually happened to me.
Or me.
And you.
Yeah,
they're on the internet all the time, writing lies about us. They have a thing called the Religious Freedom Watch, which has flat out, I have 5 pages of flat out lies about me on it. That they have.
You gotta look.
They have pages on her. They have pages on anybody speaking out against them that's actively telling the truth of Mark Bunker. They have pages on him.
Me.
Yeah, I said you. Yeah. They have pages and pages and pages of lies about us. Yeah. Mine is 5 pages of flat out lies. That's libel. That's against the law.
Well,
Yeah, sue them, sure. And with their money, you know what will happen.
They walk the edge.
They hope we'll sue.
But my thing was, there was a proposal to put a Narcanon in San Diego County up in Sunshine Summit, which is just west of the hot springs up there.
Marietta.
Hot Springs. So I said online that I was going to go to the County Board of Supervisors meeting to speak in opposition to that. A week later, this is 3 years ago, I get 2 detectives from the Criminal Intelligence Unit to my door because someone phoned in an anonymous call that I was planning on blowing up a Church of Scientology.
Right. They do that.
I'm a cartoonist.
I'm positive. I was at the Burbank Hilton. This is a true story because he's going, are you sure that happened? Someone called us and said, we want to get our kid out of Scientology. One of their top members had left and was with me, Jesse Prince. And we said, okay, we'll meet you at the Burbank Hilton. We're at the Burbank Hilton. We're ready to talk to this kid. And the father's on the cell phone, hysterical. He goes, they're here. They've got private investigators. They won't let me talk to my son. So I said, Jesse, let's go downstairs. So we go down. We're in the lobby of the Burbank Hilton. They are surrounding. Joel Phillips comes up to me and says, Tory, what are you thinking of? And, you know, sleep deprivation, food deprivation. I said, Joel, you're nuts. All we're going to do is talk to these people. OSA, the Office of Special Affairs, basically cornered him in the lobby of this hotel. One of our friends, who was also an executive Scientology, said, call the police, call the security, because trust me, you're going to need them. We did. Jesse did. So now we're there for 2 hours with them saying, don't talk to Tory, she's a drug addict, which is such a lie. You know, they're just, don't talk to... The parents are there, the kid is there crying, his sister is there crying, the parents are totally upset. Finally, Jesse calls the security and he says, look, they don't even have a room here, we do. They won't leave. They lie and say, that's our kid. It wasn't their kid at all. It's a flat-out lie. So the security called the police. In the meantime, I went out the back to talk to some friends. I come in, they're all gone. I get on the cell phone, I go, Jesse, where are you? He goes, come on outside, you're not going to believe it. I walk outside, there's 5 cop cars, a helicopter with lights shining down on the Office of Special Affairs who are handcuffed. And that's a true story. And I went out on a date later, about a half a year later, I go out on a date and I see a car going down my street. As I come home real slow, and I think, looks like OSA. But then the police go behind him, and I think, oh, maybe they're chasing somebody. The guy comes back. I say, what's up, officer? He says, oh, we got an anonymous call that this was some kind of a weird car. We have to worry about it. I said, really? Well, the guy I'm with was in a cult 15 years ago and left, and I left about 2 years ago. And he goes, hey, you know what? I know you from the Burbank Hilton. He gives me a big high five. You know, we just laugh. We know it's a Church of Scientology. That was it. End of story.
I'm sure you could go on probably for days with stories, but our guests have been very patient, waiting for their chance to speak. I'm wondering if we could hear the other side of this.
Yeah. Would this be a good point to wrap it up, or is there something that you might like to?
I just wanted to say, you have the suggested reading list. You also have the Code of a Scientologist and the Scientology Creed. Feel free to read them and then look at links and do some research and see how well they adhere to their own code. It sounds good on paper, but as far as I can tell, they're not living it.
And I feel the same. I feel like my thing is this. find out both sides before you do anything. Read their side, read up on it, read the other side, read up on it. Know what you're getting into, and then make up your own mind. That's it. Go on the internet and read both sides. You can just type in Scientology, and their side will come up, and then Xenu.net and some other things will come up. Read both of them.
Yeah.
That's it.
Google's your friend.
Google is our friend.
On the medical questions that were posed, as an expert, may I briefly clarify? The questions were posed and not answered. You said you didn't want anecdotal information.
That's all I've heard.
So as a first-person treater of Scientology survivors in 7 states, I have, at the clinic in Florida and other clinics, ascertained the recovery rates on the smart recovery, rational recovery versus the Narconon and a few of those things. But the most important is that other than the Orthodox Jewish group, the Scientologists presently, if you go to the Children's Hospital Conference on Child Maltreatment, have the highest percentage or per capita rate of family felonies or child sodomy, 97.4%. So of the people who were brought to us who were victims of child rape and other family abuse, we had a couple of epileptics at the Miami-Dade clinic who, in fact, they were videotaped, not to mention the security company who set up the cameras and documented this, dear friend of mine. But the Scientologists stole the Dilantin and Truanol and Seconal for this child who was attempting to have our public health attorney in Dade County go public. So the question was posed by her, are these, you know, the various questions? I don't know, she said. Well, I do know.
Do you have a point?
Do you not understand the point of child rape?
I do understand child rape is. Okay, that's really cool. I like that. Now,
I heard 98%.
No, 97.4
I know,
is
but
the
what is
current.
it? What is that?
okay, we were asked to address,
Families,
excuse me, sir.
per capita.
Let me have some words now, okay? You were asked us to respond to this statement from the Humanist group, all right? About all the influence we have and all the Scientologists, thank you, dear, Scientologists being successful in getting government grants and so forth and so on. First of all, just let me just start this. Give me about 3 minutes is all I'm asking for, all right? I first want to validate
There were
Barb.
two medical points.
Let me
you
finish,
asked.
please. I didn't
You
interrupt. I
asked-
didn't interrupt
You
her.
did interrupt. You asked if you could. I said there was a second point. The second medical point is,
Are you gonna let us talk? You've had an hour and
you
15
asked the
minutes.
question, sir.
Fine. You've been asked.
Please mind your manners. You
Mind
have a
your
great
manners
side.
too, sir. Please.
Knock it off. Yes, okay.
The second medical point is, you asked for permission, I says yes, after my second point. Now, the documents and the actual sources, other than Children's Hospital and the Conference on Child Maltreatment, which you can experientially go as a guest, not as a reporter, but just as a citizen, and see firsthand the level of abuse, if you have the stomach for some of the photos of the shredded vaginal florets and the other things. The Wisdom Society has a link to these medical frauds and to the medical practice that was done and the body count of Scientology. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I started to say, good, thank you.
Absolutely. Go for it.
Good. Fellow ex-New Mexicans here. Anyway, I want to thank you guys. Barbara, thank you for what you had to say, and you're showing the structure of Scientology, in that it's a validation on Ron. You create the opposite effect I think you're trying to create by saying we're spreading out like an octopus. I think we basically use the tech and are able to expand. I don't think there's anything wrong with growing and buying up old buildings and turning them into new buildings like we've done in Clearwater in LA and Hollywood. I mean, all the things you make them sound like they're bad things.
I didn't
haven't
say
heard it.
anything
Well,
about octopus.
Well, okay. The implication is that, you know, we took over Clearwater. Well, nobody else wanted it, for Christ's sake. You know, and we're cleaning it up and making it nice. A lot of Scientologists are moving there. They need to buy houses. They're building condos. Good. What's wrong with that? You know, you make it sound like it's a bad thing that we're growing. Okay, and despite all the things and anecdotal and otherwise that you want to throw at the church, we're still growing. For as many
You're
disinfectants...
not growing. We have
Thank
your
you.
statistics.
Fine.
But see, you can say that. But
I'm
then...
seeing it.
All right.
See, Jesus, give me a break here.
Let me read it. All right.
Allow Joe to have his.
Okay.
No one
Lou.
voted blasphemy here, please.
That's fine, no problem. I won't blaspheme, okay? I believe in God too, believe it or not.
You
All
can't
right?
say G blank B because that's...
Okay, all right.
Thank you, I
Okay,
got that.
so
You
we'll
all right
have a
with that
point
now?
counterpoint.
Fine.
Okay,
Thank
go
you.
ahead, Lou.
You can always find disaffected Scientologists. I know that's a term they use. People who didn't do well with Scientology. Ron says that it's not for everybody. I got into it in 1972, and I said, the first time I find a lie in there, I'm out. Okay? I'm not a stupid person. My IQ is in about 155 range, okay? I look, even now, and when I see things that bother me, and I question it, and I query it. I question authority all along the way in Scientology, and if it's pointed out to me what the truth is, and I could deal with it, fine. I'd be out the minute I see something that's harming somebody. I really feel bad about what happened to you. But one thing I want you all to understand, Scientology is not Scientologists. I, as a Scientologist, can go crazy and do some stupid thing. That doesn't mean Scientology is wrong. Now, that's what you guys like to jump on, because this guy did this, and you're talking about a study on children that were raped. Obviously, like, I'm in favor of that? Give me a break, sir. Okay? We are not in favor of that. But if you want to bring up situations and attack a Scientologist person who happens to be a Republican, who happens to be a Democrat, who happens to be anything else, a Jew, a Catholic, a Christian, but they're a Scientologist, because of that they're nuts, fine, go for it. All I know is we continue to grow. You talk about Narconon, you show me a psych-based program using drugs, okay, that has more than a 10% success rate. Let me define that for you. That means that people do not go back to drugs after going through the program, okay? Narconon, okay, and we're not trying to hide it's connected to Ron Hubbard, okay? We're proud of it. We're not ashamed of anything he's put out there. Now, Narconon has over a 70% cure rate. Okay? Yeah. Fine. Shake your heads. You know, like I say, statistics, you can say whatever you want them to say if you want to. All I know is my own experience, I've had several people from alcohol problems, drug problems, go through the program. They are not druggies, they're not alcoholics anymore. Okay? That's my own subjective reality. You might call it anecdotal, but we have plenty of numbers behind that. ABLE, the Association for Better Living with Education, my granddaughter goes to Delphi. She's 10 years old. She's ready for high school right now. There's a waiting list to get into that school that's a mile long. And only about 20% of the students there are Scientology children. Okay? So don't tell me how bad we are. Ask me where we have helped and what we've done for another. Okay? We don't like psychiatrists, psychologists. Why? Because they're the ones that came up with these sweet things called lobotomies, electric shock treatment, over-drugging of people. Okay? We don't like them, they don't like us, and we make no bones about it, all right? The fact is, we don't use drugs. We don't use methods that they use. And I'm angry right now. I'm able to control my anger because I think you people are rational people. But one thing Barbara said is true, and this lady here, is look at both sides. Make up your own minds. Don't let me influence what you're doing, all right? But don't let special interest of whatever they might be change you. You can find people, I spent several years ago over $200,000, not in Scientology, but in the education for my stepdaughter at the University of San Diego, USD, okay? Now, was it worth it? Heck yes. Someone blasphemed. Heck yes, we loved it, okay? Would I do it again for the same results? Yes. How much have I spent in Scientology? A lot. What is money? It's energy. I just make more. Okay, I have a business, I make money. There's nothing wrong with making money, folks. You make the implication that all we're after is money. All Scientology is after is money.
I didn't say that.
Well, you talk about the money. This lady here, how much it costs for.
She asked me how much it costs, and I told her.
Fine. So the point is, I spent
Skip over.
Okay, I spent $200,000 for a Catholic education, a Jesuit school in San Diego for my stepdaughter. Okay, why don't you attack me for that? I mean, I'm a Scientologist.
We're not here about Catholics.
Fine, I got that.
I'll only attack you if you wind up with having created another lawyer.
Having created another lawyer?
lawyer.
Yeah, it's a law school.
Well, that's not what she was in for. She's in for international relations, and she works in a family business. Okay? So my point being that when people want to attack Scientology, it's a controversial cult. Well, no, it's a religion. One of the definitions of a religion, by the way, if you look in the Good Dictionary, happens to be that it's a philosophical way of life. Okay? I'm a Catholic. Okay, I can make the sign of the cross. Okay? I might be Jewish, I might be Christian, I might be any religion I want to be and still be a Scientologist. Okay? I would walk away tomorrow from there if half of what you guys were saying was true. And I know I won't because I'm going to find it. Okay? And that's just the reality of it. Well, you go ahead and you can giggle all you want, sir. That's fine.
No, you said guys, but I only heard one guy. He's the only guy that I heard. Are you referring to him?
Anybody.
No,
Anybody
I
who speaks
haven't
out
heard
against
the
this.
other guy.
Okay, very well done.
No,
That's cool. I got it. Thank you.
What's the good dictionary you're referring to?
Oh, any good dictionary. Something like the Webster's Collegiate, or I like the one from Britain.
With the Zionist supremacists that readed the definition of Semitism?
This is that, this is.
Now we're
this is
into,
going off
let's get into sovereignty issues or something like that. Jeez.
Francis,
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that the Scientologists do not conceal their affiliation, because about almost 25 years ago, when my wife and I were preparing to send our daughter to school, we sent away and got brochures for dozens of schools all over the United States. Some secular, some church-related. And I noticed that the church-related schools, with one exception, were very forthright about their church affiliation. The one in Sheridan, Oregon, owned by the Scientologists, the only mention of anything related to Scientology in their literature was a mention that they used the or the educational technology of L. Ron Hubbard. They did not disclose that they are a church organization.
They're not. It's a totally secular school. There is not one religious thing in that school, too much religion.
Well, too bad they didn't reassure us. We looked pretty carefully, and she ended up going to a religious school which is forthright about its affiliations.
Thank you. Gary?